The Wire is an American crime drama television series created and primarily written by author and former police reporter David Simon. The series was broadcast by the cable network HBO in the United States. The Wire premiered on June 2, 2002, and ended on March 9, 2008, comprising 60 episodes over 5 seasons. It's essentially about the relationship between law enforcement and different aspects of 5 institutions: the drug trade, the seaport system, the city government, school system, and print news media, as well as how individuals are affected by them. The series is set and produced in Baltimore, Maryland by Simon's production company Blown Deadline Productions. After finishing The Wire, Blown Deadline would continue on various projects for HBO, including Generation Kill, a miniseries about a battalion and their embedded reporter in 2003 Iraq, my personal favorite, Treme, a 4-season series about musicians and restaurant owners in post-Katrina New Orleans, Show Me a Hero, a miniseries about a young mayor working to build low-income housing units in white neighborhoods of Yonkers, New York, and The Deuce, a series about the porn industry in the 70s and 80s, including the rise of HIV, violence of the drug epidemic, and the resulting real estate booms and busts that coincided with the changing times. I chose The Wire for this midterm for several reasons. It was one of the first of those prestige television shows I'd ever seen, and unlike a lot of the stuff I was watching at the time, it felt like I was watching something happening to very real people in very real situations. I also chose it because I think the production ideas around it are pretty fascinating, and I had been thinking of rewatching it lately since the release of the HD remaster that came out in 2017, something I'll share my opinions on later. The show was inspired by Simon's time working with his writing partner Ed Burns, who was familiar with prolonged surveillance of violent drug dealers using surveillance technology and the frustrations with the bureaucracy of the Baltimore Police Department, something Simon related to during his time at the Baltimore Sun, and set the show in Baltimore due to his familiarity with the city. In terms of casting, Simon and Company opted to go with unknown actors who would appear natural in their roles, paying special attention to representation by having most of the cast be African American actors consistent with the demographics of Baltimore. The style of the series itself goes for a realistic approach. For example, music is played through radios and clubs. There are only 2 flashbacks in the entire series. They use an abundance of contemporary slang, and in its presentation of the various characters. The police, for example, are not shown as overt heroes. They are shown as flawed people. Some of them are alcoholics, incompetent, brutal, or just plain numb to the stuff happening around them. The same goes for the drug dealers. Instead of portraying them as straight-up villains profiting off the misfortune of others, the show goes into great lengths to show how in many cases they do what they do because they've been trapped and can't get out of that system, contributing to a bleak yet sympathetic presentation of issues pervading the lower-class life. Much of the series is shot on location in different parts of the city. In terms of camera work, series co-producer Joe Chappelle said this in an interview. It's very loose, and while there really isn't a formula, instead there's a lot of room for interpretation, be it handheld, long lenses, whatever. We're cowboys, using vocal lengths of our choosing. There's a tremendous latitude built into the aesthetic of the show, so we have choices. The DP has choices. The director has choices. Whatever helps build that moment. We can work with a wide assortment of lenses. As far as masters, there's not really a dictum that masters are in motion, but it's suggested. And maybe it's a habit, we always lay dolly track. The other thing about the dollies is what it allows you to do. If someone doesn't hit their mark exactly, the camera can just kind of slide over, find the coverage. I know in the past 3 years I've been here as a producer. We've done overcranking just twice, and I don't think we've ever used undercranking. It was decided early on by David Simon and Nina Noble, the executive producer, that this wouldn't be a slick Steadicam type of show. There was a lot of handheld in the first season, but it evolved and became an all-long lens on dolly look. Chappelle talks a bit about the lighting of the show, saying, "We're not afraid to let people go into shadow. We seldom have edge lights or give the ladies a beauty light. You walk into a room and it's a harsh fluorescent light. If it goes a little green, it goes a little green." The downlights on some of the Wire sets are pretty much practicals. Of course, they're retubed, but on sets like the police station or the investigative team's headquarters, that's the lighting look we're going for. On editing, he says, "We fade up at the beginning of the show and fade to black at the end. There's no dissolves, just cuts. That's a stylistic choice. Keep it lean." After we wrap, the New York-based editor, who has already been cutting the show together while they are shooting, has 4 more days to complete his assembly cut. That's pretty much following the script unless the director has given specific notes through the script advisor. Then the director comes in and gets 4 days to do their cut working alone with the editor. Then they do a producer's cut in Baltimore to tighten it up and send it off to HBO. The series was shot on 16:9 film, matted to 4:3, even after widescreen television was widely adopted. Director of photography Dave Inslee recalled, "The reason the show stayed 4:3 is because David Simon thinks that 4:3 feels more like real life and real television and not like a movie." When the show started around 2001 to 2002, they framed for 16:9 as a way of future-proofing. Then, right before Season 4 began shooting, there was a big discussion about the style of the show, deciding to stick with 4x3 for the remainder of the series. In my opinion, the best way to see all of this is by watching a clip of the show. Here's the opening scene of the pilot.
So your boy's name is what?
Snot.
You call the guy Snot?
Snot Boogie. Yeah.
Snot Boogie. You like the name?
What?
Snot Boogie. This kid whose mama went to the trouble of christening him Omar Isaiah Betts? You know, he forgets his jacket. So his nose starts running, and some asshole, instead of giving him a Kleenex, he calls him Snot. So he's Snot forever. Doesn't seem fair.
Life just be that way, I guess.
So, who shot Snot?
I ain't going to no court. Motherfucker ain't have to put no cap in him, no.
Definitely not.
Man, he could have just whipped his ass like we always whip his ass.
I agree with you.
We gonna kill Snot. Snot been doing the same shit since I don't know how long. Kill a man over some bullshit. I'm saying. And every Friday night, we in the alley behind the cut ring, we rolling bones, you know? I mean, all the boys from around the way, and we roll till late.
Alley crap game, right?
Like every time. He Snot. He'll fade a few shooters. Play it out to the pots deep. Snatch and run.
What, every time?
Couldn't help himself.
Let me understand you. Every Friday night, you and your boys would shoot crap, right? And every Friday night, your pal Snot Boogie, he'd wait till there was cash on the ground, then you'd grab the money and run away? You let him do that?
Man, we'd catch him and beat his ass, but ain't nobody never go past that.
I gotta ask you, if every time Snot Boogie would grab the money and run away, why'd you even let him in the game?
What?
With Snot Boogie always stole the money. Why'd you let him play?
Got to. This America, man.
Of course, later on, the series would receive an HD remaster, which Simon was involved in. It works for the most part, however, you can tell these scenes were meant to be seen in 4x3 due to the abundance of side room and in the blocking of characters. Here is a scene from the second or third episode in which D'Angelo outlines the way the hierarchy works in the drug trade.
Yo, what's up with Shop?
No re-up.
Why not?
Cuz we got a red cat. They say we have a new package tomorrow.
New package.
Yeah. Yeah, man, this week I stepped on shit we got out here, get these fiends agitated.
Well, look at them. They still buying it, though.
Yeah, they buying twice as much and only getting half as high.
Yo, what was that? Castle can't move like that. Yo, Castle move up and down or sideways like.
Nah, we ain't playing that.
Man, look at the boy playing checkers.
Checkers?
Yeah, checkers.
Yo, why y'all playing checkers on the chess set?
Yo, why you give a shit? Man, we ain't got no checkers.
Yeah, but yo, chess is a better game, yo.
So?
Nah, hold up. Y'all don't know how to play chess, do you?
So?
Easter egg-wise, there are actually quite a few references to Simon's experience as a reporter in the pilot. The earlier scene about the death of Snot Boogie and a later story told by Bunk are stories the cops he interviewed told him while writing a book, and he felt they left enough of an impression on him that he wrote them into the show. The most expensive scene in my opinion is the scene where Bunk goes to see the dead witness's body by the dumpster. It combines most every element the series uses in terms of production and editing, including a large cast of extras, several cop cars, and the practical effects work needed to sell the bullet wound in the dead body. The pilot actually doesn't have that many long scenes, each one lasting around 2 to 3 minutes each in the hour-long episode. The one that stands out, however, is the scene where McNulty walks through the FBI headquarters with Agent Fitz and learns about the wire system they have been using to watch a drug crew in New York in real time. The location's use is interesting because while there doesn't appear to be anything amazing about the building outside of some neat design stuff, what it does to show the playing field difference between the FBI and BBD is interesting nonetheless. Compared to the BBD's cramped desks and dingy office space with typewriters, the FBI has nice cubicles, a clean workspace, and most importantly, computers, one of the sticking points in this episode. At the end of the hour-long episode, the pilot ended up being around 35 different scenes, most being like cutaways to different conversations happening in different parts of the city. In conclusion, The Wire is, in my opinion, one of the best series ever made, and a lot of that is in part due to the amount of work and attention put in by its crew.